Welcome to the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Johnstone. And out of the top 100 loan officers in the nation, we have had over 25 on the show. And there are only 3 strategies that they are using in order to continue to grow their businesses. Would you like to know what they are? Well, the first is database marketing. The second is referral partner marketing, and the third is consumer direct advertising. And at Connection Incorporated, we now have artificial intelligence powered systems to generate you results in all 3 of those areas. We have the database activator for your database that reaches out, generates referrals and repeat business from your past customers, but also fills your Google business profile with raving 5-star reviews from your past customers. Our referral partner strategy books you at least 2 networking appointments a week with top performing referral partners. That's realtors, financial planners, investment advisors, insurance providers, solar companies, you name it. If they have high volumes of customers to send you in today's marketplace, this strategy works exceptionally well to fill your calendar and provides massive value. The people that are leveraging this strategy right now have almost a 100% show up rate with those referral partners, and you have something of massive value to give them. So it's very easy to get that high value partner to start sending you business. The third way that we're using artificial intelligence to grow your business is by getting you ranked on Google's new AI powered front page. We get you ranked in the 3-pack. We get the ratings and reviews from your past customers, and you get inbound phone calls that you don't have to chase or cold call that are pre-sold on working with you because they have already read your 5-star ratings and reviews on Google. These are the 3 pathways to grow your mortgage business, and we can help you implement them and artificial intelligence in your business. So right now, before you enjoy today's episode, go to aiseo.connectionincorporated.com. That's aiseo.connectionincorporated.com. If you're driving or enjoying this while doing something else, the link is in the show notes. Make sure you take the time to head on over, book a one-on-one strategy call with us so we can tell whether or not this strategy will fit for you in your marketplace and if you qualify to be one of the 2 professionals that we work with in each market. I hope you enjoy today's episode in the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special episode of the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast. We have Andy Price on the show here. Andy, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you, Chris. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. Well, this is a special opportunity for me. You're currently sitting at number 15 on the Scotsman's Guide for Production, which is an incredible accomplishment. So first off, congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. And we will hop right into it with, I know a lot of our listeners are adjusting to the changing market. So what are you doing in your mortgage business right now in order to keep volumes up and to stay at the top of, well, all of the loan officers in the country?
Yeah, I think, well, number one, you should be talking to whoever's number 1 on the list.
We have had that interview, actually. We have
Okay, so you already done
interviewed
that one.
number 1.
I mean, I think it depends on the loan officer and how they've built their business or how they're building their business. But I would say, it all boils down to math. So a lot of this stuff on keeping your volume up is, it's not just today. It's like, what did you do 3 years ago? How are you interacting with your database? Like during the boom we had the last couple of years, loan officers that work here, every time we had a meeting, I'm like, you guys, it's so important to grow your database as big as you can right now, because when this cuts in half, and it will at some point, you want your half to be a good number still, right?
Yep.
So like if you're doing 5, you're going to go to 2 or 3. If you're doing 10, you're going to go to 5. So the bigger you can get that number a month, right? And the better off you'll be when things do contract. So I think a lot of that is preparing for that. And that's hard because some people are newer and it takes time. And I've been there too. I think 2 or 3 years in when the 2008 meltdown happened, and that was a hard time, and probably the best thing I did was stick it out. Like you just don't want to have any other option, like don't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Like you have to be all in or not. If you don't accept failure as an option, you'll find ways to bring in business. Like, yeah, it's back to fundamentals. I think, a lot of people are looking for a system with all the bells and whistles that'll just bring people in and they're doing minimal work. This is not that business. This is always going to be, at the end of the day, how you perform, how you work with your customers. Like it's all the simple things. Like back in 2008 when this happened, I, didn't have a lot of extra money to spend on leads or anything. So what can I do for free? What doesn't cost me
Yep.
money? Answering the phone, responding to an email, figuring out ways to help customers. So all those customer service pieces are probably the biggest crucial piece to growing your database, maintaining your database, and just working with new realtor partners. I always say it's we're paid to advertise, right? So when you have a new contract come in, like right now, it's pretty much all purchase. So you're dealing with usually one other realtor that you haven't worked with before, sometimes two, right? So these are new agents for you, and they see how you work, and they're comparing you to the other lenders they've worked with or their main lenders. So it's important for you to take that opportunity to advertise, right? Like show them what a good job you do, show them that you're responsive, show them that you fix issues, show them that you're keeping in contact and all those things, because you might be one of the best lenders they've worked with in a long time, and they'll keep your info and they'll send you more loans,
Yep.
right? So you just never know where they're at with their lenders. And I think a big piece is too, like, don't try to be their number one preferred lender. Just say, hey, I know you got your guy, because then it takes that off the table. It's not
Yep.
like you're trying to take that position. I'm just here as another option. Like, make me number two. If you have something your lender can't do, if its closing costs are too high, the rate doesn't work, they can't get it, whatever it is, give me a shot and let me see if I can help you.
Yeah.
And then sooner or later, you'll slide up in the list to be the top lender, but you don't want to try to be that, like, take over that right then. I think it's very invasive. And I think for me personally, it feels awkward for
Yeah.
me. Like, I don't want to like act like I'm that guy. Like, I just want to be there as another resource, make sure they know you're there to help, whatever the situation is. So that's my opinion. I think, rates are high, but everybody's rates are high. We all have high rates. Some are higher than others. I get that, but we're all in the same market. We're all dealing with the same stuff. Like, nobody's out there offering a 3 or 4. Like, it is what it is. And
Yep.
the buyers understand that, and they're getting used to it. And I think you just try to find ways to help them afford the payments. Like, find, how do we help you? Let's get somebody to do a 2-1 buy down. Let's, things like that that'll help them afford the home, and then tee them up for a refinance later when rates are lower. So again, it's still about growing your database now. There's a lot of times we have to work for less than we're normally accustomed to. That's just the market we're in, right? It's
Yep.
just the way it goes. Like, it's just one of those times. It's high cost environment, and unfortunately, we're the ones taking most of the haircuts, right, to make deals work. And as the pool gets smaller, the race to the bottom increases. So you have to be willing to, it's always better to do a loan than not, right? So, like,
Yes.
again, adding them to your database, having them provide referrals. Like, you have to look at the long picture and not be transactional. It's all about relationship in this business, or any business, if you want to succeed.
Yeah.
If you
One
start getting caught
hundred
up in the
percent.
pennies, you're done.
Yep, that's absolutely right. I think product and service is what wins them over time. And it's getting that at bat and just giving every deal that you've got that extra little bit in today's environment, because you touched on so many valuable points there. But I think one of the things that really helps lenders in today's environment is understanding that every deal that you get is an opportunity for 3 or 4 deals down the road. If you're doing proper database management and you're tracking the rate that you've funded each loan at, that's an opportunity that you're winning for yourself in the future. And how you close the business today is the opportunity that you have for the refinance and the referrals in the future.
1000%. And then another point I forgot to bring up, I think the other way that, for me personally, like, how do you offset the volume decrease? Well, you can try to bring in more customers. That's hard, right? So you got to work on that, but also expanding your footprint. Get into other states, get into other markets, like, make your pool bigger, right? If you're in one state, add some states. Like, the more people you can get in front of, the better. It's all math at the end of the day. But yeah, I think that we should all look at our database of realtors, past clients, all these people. These are bank accounts. It's exponential interest.
Yeah.
As it grows, that grows exponentially. It's not a one for one. It takes off. And it takes time to build that. And a lot of people, it's hard to see that long goal, or want to put in that work sometimes on a daily basis. Just continue to grind through every day, trying to make deals happen for people. It's not for everyone by any means, and nor should it be. So, it's just, you got to be willing to put in the work if you want to reap those rewards. And again, just not being focused on every dollar, but more about closing the loan, making sure the customer's happy, making sure the terms work, you'll get deals from that. So if you have to shave off $1,000 here, you're going to make back 15 times that from referrals or future deals from these people. So you have to always look at that big picture when you're dealing with customers and realtors.
Yeah, I could not agree more. And if you were to break your business down into, basically there's three legs on the stool per se. So you've got past customer marketing, you've got referral partner marketing, and then you've got marketing and advertising per se. Do you have a breakdown of roughly how much your business comes from each quadrant? Like how much comes from your database, how much comes from referral partners?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have an exact number. It does fluctuate, of course, but for me, I would say in the current market we're in, we're probably leaning 70% realtors, that we work with. And then I would say 20% of that's probably, or even 25 is probably past customers.
Yep.
And sometimes those are different. Sometimes it's more past customer, less realtor. And then the other small percentage is just new business. Like we do a little tiny bit of advertising, a little bit of lead buy, just really little amounts on bigger pockets and things, just to get our name out there, to show people we're there, to get fresh people in, right? To again, to grow the database. So as far as the advertising budget for me personally, it's very minimal. It's really more about just continuing to lean on your past customers and your realtor relationships,
Yeah,
and treat those like gold.
because they are. And
They are.
so the realtors that you're working with, if we were to lump that into referral partners, are you getting just realtor referral business? Or are you also tapped into financial planners, divorce attorneys, or is it mainly just realtors?
That's a great question. Yeah, so I do have a few financial advisors that that I get referrals from, which is great. I think that's a great resource. I think like divorce attorneys, those are great because right now refinancing, very few people are doing it. But if you're getting divorced, you're probably in the market, and so you have to do what you got to do. So I think for a lot of guys, it's not just going after the realtors, but yeah, having other people. Financial advisors are huge, attorneys are huge. Like those are great markets that a lot of people don't reach out to enough. And it's, I think sometimes it becomes intimidating with those types of people because you think, oh my gosh, they're so financially savvy, or they're an attorney, like, oh, like they're going to think I'm an idiot or whatever. Most of them don't have very much knowledge about mortgage and products, and they know a little bit, but you can still go in and give them some good info, and know your game, and they'll respect that, and you learn from things from them too. Like I think it's good to have those partners, because you'll learn stuff about how that works, and you can teach them about mortgages. And we shouldn't be intimidated by these people. A lot of them know a lot less than they may act, or you think that they know.
Yeah, 100%. One of the strategies that we're using is we're actually reaching out and inviting them on what we're calling the show. And it's, putting together rather than like, hey, I want to teach you about mortgages, which does, a lot of people are very intimidated, especially with the financial planner market, to actually
Mm-hmm.
reach out and have those conversations with people. And what it does is it kind of flips the table. Rather than like, let me teach you about mortgages, it's like, can you teach me and my audience and my customers about financial planning? Can you come on my show and teach us about this? And what that does is it gives you just like a foundation to stand on top of, that you can build the relationship on top of. So that might be
I
helpful in
like
your
that.
marketing and your outreach.
I like that a lot. I think that's a really good way to go, because again, it lets them talk about what they do. They're, informing a new customer base. They're informing you. They're talking about them, right? So that's good. And then you can sprinkle a little bit of mortgage stuff into it, or the next conversation you can talk a little bit about what you do. Yeah, I think you got to really, some of these things are slowly built over time, and sometimes the more hands off you are, or indirect you are, but still in their face a bit, it can go a lot further than trying to be super aggressive.
100%. And so when you and I find myself personally, I have definitely lent to the over aggressive over the years, especially with pursuing realtors, with
Uh-huh.
outreach campaigns and systems and all those wonderful things. So I'm wondering about your philosophy or your process for going out and finding new referral relationships. Like, how do you identify the partners that you want to work with? How do you reach out to them? What does your process look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's really for me, and it took me a long time to build up to what I am. I've probably done it all wrong in most people's minds, or the way they do things, but I always just like, you have a few realtors you work with, they're going to refer you other realtors that they work with. Like, hey, I got a really good lender, try them out, they're same brokerage, whatever. or that realtor moves to a new brokerage and then they introduce you to new realtors at that brokerage. And then again, like I was talking about earlier, when you're dealing with that new agent on the other side on the listing, things like that, like that's a great opportunity to grab a new agent, but not being like, hey, I want to get your business, but like just be really good. And when the transaction's over, hey, it's really great working with you. Thanks again. Here's some things that we do, and what we do in our at our company. And if you are something you can't get placed, or I'd be happy to help. Anything you need. And it's a real, just kind of a non-aggressive, pushy approach to reach out to them, and you'll get people from that kind of stuff. And again, it takes longer that way. It's definitely a slower moving thing in some cases, but most of them are longer standing, right? Like these are people that once they come over, you're going to have them a lot longer if they can see that you're just always performing, you're always going to get things, you're always going to find solutions. Like that's huge. So that's like, I don't really go out to, like, I think I've had maybe 3 times I've had coffee with realtors in my whole life. You know what I mean? So I'm not doing that. I know a lot of guys do. I'm more like, hey, I'm working, I'm here. You need me, let's do it. You want to meet up, whatever. And some of these people you do, and they want to do that, and that's fine. But I'm not out trying to set appointments to do that stuff. Maybe I should be, but I'm not. I'm just trying to work with new agents. So when I have new transactions, and you'll have more opportunities, the more deals you have, right? So as
That's
time
right.
goes on, you're just going to, by default, have more opportunities to gain more referral partners. It's just the way it goes.
100%. And I love your second offer of, hey, I don't want to be your first lender, but if you have something that you come across and you need a second opinion, I'm there. Because it's super easy. So many people are intimidated with the follow-up of the realtor. They will get a coffee appointment or they will get that deal and they follow up the first time, and then they don't win the business over time because they stop following up because they don't know what else to say. And
Right.
that second position offer is very easy. Just like, hey, have you come across anything in the last 30 days that you want a second opinion on? Or send them a quick text message on a Monday. Hey, come across anybody on the weekend you need a second opinion on? That's a real easy value add to get out there in the marketplace. So I
I
love
think
that
so.
positioning.
Yeah. Like, think of me when this happens, right?
Yeah,
Like if this happens, think of me. And again, add them to your CRM. Maybe you're getting them on a few drips, and they can opt out. That's fine, right? But I mean, just put them on there regardless and see what happens. They can opt out. But yeah, I think it's important to, like, for us, we're brokers, so we try to educate people. Like, hey, here's how brokers can be different. Like, different products, different ways to price things, all that. But everybody has their own value add that you can provide, and again, just being a second option for someone, for things that their main lender can't do is always a good thing, I think.
absolutely. And so switching gears a little bit into database marketing, a
Uh-huh.
good portion of your business coming from the database. What do you do to stay in front of your database, build that relationship? Do you ask for referrals through the application process? What does that all look like?
Yeah, I actually never ask for any referrals from customers while we're working with them or after. We usually send
Wow.
out like when the transaction's over, we send them out a deal to do a review on Google for us or whatever platform they want to use. And then we're following up, we'll put them in the CRM where they'll get like a monthly newsletter, and maybe they'll get something about, doing a HELOC or just whatever relevant information there's on the market, things like that, so we can stay in front of them. Like with the realtors, weekly texts, things like that with the current interest rates, different strategies, to, like, for cash out refinances. We did one recently about the blended rate strategy. If you're paying 30% on card, like the whole thing, just trying to find things that provide value to people. But, find a good newsletter, do your own, those kind of things. As far as just getting more activity in the online, like we do blogs, we do a little bit of advertising online, like with Google and stuff, just trying to, certain nichey things that maybe there aren't as many people that are buying those that ad space, things like that. So it's really good to have a good marketing, contact to help you do that stuff if you're not savvy with it. I'm not, so I definitely have somebody here that helps the loan officers here do that.
Yeah,
So
that's incredible. And currently sitting at 249 five-star ratings and reviews on your Google profile was, which is absolutely incredible. So you mentioned ratings and reviews there, and I was expecting that you had a more formalized process because that's a phenomenal amount of five-star ratings and reviews on your profile. So is that it? You just ask people after the deal is done to go leave you a review on Google?
yeah, that's really all we do. I mean, again, we could do better as far as asking for referrals. I have a hard time asking for referrals. I always have. So I'd
Yeah.
rather just be like, think of me if this happens, or hey, if you have a buddy or whatever, I might say something like that, but I don't usually say send me a referral. I've really never been that guy, and maybe I could have gotten a lot further quicker. I don't know, but it's just like I feel like you have to do things that fit your personality,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, and yeah, we do need to grow, but you also need to be in a place where you can thrive in the way that you are as a person. So definitely we need to find opportunities to grow and do things and try new things and give them a shot. But you also, like I said, you just want to do stuff that you are comfortable doing, that you feel good about. And I always look at it like a consumer, like, do I want that from, if, do I want that guy asking me that? You know,
Right.
do I want
Yep.
someone, how would I want that handled if I was the consumer or the realtor?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So sometimes we get heated, things are like, but you always got to step back and be like, well, if I was on the other side, what would I be expecting here? Like, how would I want to be treated? And so again, I think a lot of that boils down to just like treat others how you want to be treated. It's pretty simple, but it can be hard to do. You know, we
Oh,
get caught up in the moment. There's a lot of moving parts and there's a lot of stress. And at the end of the day, it just boils down to that. I think just do right, you know, do right by people and they'll do right by you.
that's it. I think authenticity is just massive. It's huge, and I'll share this for what it is, just from my own personal experience, which is normally on the podcast. It's not about me; it's about you because you've achieved incredible results. But I'm hoping that this is valuable for you.
Yeah.
Um, I felt the exact same way about not only asking for business, but for following up on leads. So we do, a lot of lead gen, a lot of leads come through the website, a lot of referrals or whatever. And I was the guy who would always send the one message and I would just be like, well, if they want to, they'll reach back out to me. If it's something that's really important to them, they'll just reach out. And that was just my perspective on it. And I knew I was never going to be the guy that was going to do the follow up. And then through just a series of events, for time's sake, I'll skip that part. But I hired what I call an executive concierge, which is a service that we provide in the mortgage industry, but basically it's a North American based appointment center. And I was like, look, I want you to go through this list of all of the leads that we've got that are dead to me. I will never reach out to these people because that feels inauthentic to me. And all I want you to do is just start calling these people and saying, hey, you had requested information on this. Would you like to set up a call to discuss that? And the day she started, we started booking 5 consults a day. And
Wow. That's awesome.
still to this day, Franca books 5 consults every day, just calling the leads list that I would never call.
Well, you're gonna
And
have to send me that contact. So we need to start doing that. It sounds like that's really good to hear. Yeah, because that's something that you're not going to do, and you realize that. So it's like let someone else be that guy who wants to do it, and then you can bring it in that way, right? That's
exactly.
smart. Yeah, I like
And
that.
so the aha moment that I ended up having with it is that the things that I love to do, like here, this interview with this podcast, this is like, I love meeting you and having this discussion and webinars and stuff like that. Franca hates that stuff, but making the calls and doing that, she loves that stuff. So it's almost like we've each found the thing that we love, but both of it supports the customers and supports the value that we bring and supports the business as well. So I think, finding that who for those things that help with the 3 legs on the stool is, I think, can help drive even more business for you.
I agree. Yeah, it's good to have the right team players that like to do the things the other ones don't, and together you make a really, great monster of a team, right?
That's it. Um,
Yeah.
so, and again, I want to be respectful of your
Yeah.
time.
Go ahead.
But you have been through 2 major market cycles, 2007, 2008, and this current market cycle now, and definitely thriving in this one. I'm assuming continued to thrive through the last one.
I
So
made it
I'm
out, made it to the other side. Yeah, that was tougher than this one, I'll say. But again, like, that was back to the conversation. Like when your database cuts in half, make sure that's a good number, right?
That's it. And so I'm interested in your philosophy as to how you're approaching today's marketplace. Are you doubling down on the database? Are you doubling down on realtors? You're continuing to grow. What's the philosophy behind that?
Well, I feel number one, I'm like, okay, I'm older this time. It's not as fun to like, like I'm older. Like, oh man, here we go again. Like, I was hoping to avoid this, but we're in it. And I think the sooner you realize that and you face that and realize, there's still people that need loans. There's still people that need your services. no one likes the rate environment we're in. The consumers don't like it. We don't like it. It's not fun, right? It's zero fun providing these loans right now. It's ugly, it's costly, and it's just sad to see, but it's the market every single originator's in, every single consumer's in. But for me, I don't know. I'm always about just how do I survive, right? Like how do we get through this? How do I be a good example to the other loan officers that work here? And to me, it's always about being in the weeds. So I know the same pain points they're going through, the processes, the investors, just the whole thing. But as far as just like how I'm going after it, like I'm definitely doing more as far as reaching out to realtors through text and things like that. Not so much phone calls, but I'm texting, doing these texts, things like that, doing more email drips on that. And then with past customers too, like we're starting to send out more things about just, again, doing a little HELOC or whatever things that we can think of to stay in touch with them a little bit more than we usually do. I think that's a big piece. I mean, obviously, I feel like I could probably do more. Like I should be more into it, but I'm still fairly busy, and it's still working. So I haven't really like sat down and been like, I need to do X, Y, Z now. Like I just kind of play it by ear and make adjustments as I go. And if I feel like volume's down, then okay, like what do I need to do? Like let's follow. Like I always feel like number one for any loan officer is you always go after the quickest thing that'll make you money, right?
Yep.
So, the lead from 4 months ago, probably not your quickest thing. You had a pre-qual a week ago and haven't found a house. Let's follow up with them, right?
Yes.
Let's follow up with that agent who was going to send you somebody. Let's follow, like always work on the thing that's going to bring the dollars in first and then go backwards from that. So that's another thing. I think people get distracted by certain things and it's always about, I have a funding tomorrow. Let's make sure that's straightened out. That's the
Yep.
quickest dollar, right? So I think that's a really important piece of how you prioritize your day and how you handle your customers and what you have on your plate every day. Like what's most urgent, what's going to close a loan quicker, right? Like that's to me that's very important to learn and to adjust your day and how you run your business accordingly.
Yes, 100%. And picking that low hanging fruit. And I think also choosing the most effective way to reach that person. You mentioned text messaging. There are so many lenders that are still relying on email exclusively to reach out. And I mean, you can just double the response rate that you get from there without even adding phone calls. You add phone calls on, you get another bump. But
Mhm.
take a look at that low hanging fruit, omni-channel marketing. Every pathway to communication that you add to what you're doing to your outreach increases the amount of impact and conversations that you have. So that's a huge tip. That's
And I,
phenomenal.
yeah, and I think too, like, I mean, again, think of yourself as the consumer. In your inbox, you get how many emails a day from random things? I mean, I know what I do. I don't read any of it. I delete every last one of those things. The text, I'll probably still look at. It's just quicker, easier. So why would you continue to do something that you yourself aren't attracted to or makes you want to have, take the call to action? Like if I see myself not using a certain thing, I know the other people aren't too. Like I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm weird, but I'm not that weird. So it's like, like if I'm not dealing with the emails or I don't find that a way that I'm getting, I'm working with people as far as people trying to sell me something or help me in some way, then what is it? Text. I'm like, we have to text more. Like,
Yep.
obviously, like text is like the next thing. And then who knows what the next will, maybe it's push notifications. I don't know. And I know there's a lot of stuff going on with the FCC and the text thing. And some people are working through that. I've just started hearing about that. I didn't really know that was a thing. And I'm like, okay, well, like I went to my marketing guy, like, hey, what are we doing with all of our stuff to make sure he's like, oh yeah, we already got it going. I'm like, good. So, I mean, you got to stay up on those things because there's a chance people aren't even going to get your text in the near
That's
future if
right.
you're not set up right.
Yep, that's absolutely right. And there was just a
Yeah.
huge transition on that side of things. So, Andy, again, thank you for being so generous with your time. But I do have one final question, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So, you're very focused on the quality of the business that you bring in. 257 five-star reviews on your Google profile, if I'm right.
Yeah.
When you get phone calls from people that see your ratings and reviews on Google, how does that compare to like the traditional lead gen that you've tried in the past?
I feel like those people that find us through reviews, they're already kind of pre-sold, right? Like and so are people that your realtors send. I mean, usually they're like, okay, or a friend or family. Like whenever it's a referral, it's already kind of pre-sold. Like, like they're probably gonna work with you. regardless. I don't know if there's a real big difference in that, but I love getting those calls because it's like, okay, great. You see that we have good reviews. And then it's like, yeah, we'll make sure we'll take care of you. And, we appreciate the opportunity. We'd love to help you and be there for you anytime you need us. And I always try to tell those people as well, we're not transactional. We're here to help you. Love to work with you going forward, like forever. Like we're always
Yep.
going to be here for you, whoever you have. Right.
That is amazing. So your closing ratio on those leads is similar to what you get from realtors and what you get from your database.
I would say it's very close. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I
That
think it is. Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I think where you can get, like I had one recently, really good, couple, and found us online, totally good. And then, I kept checking in with them, and they found a realtor on their own. I gave them referrals. They found somebody that was a friend, and then they gave them to another lender. And even though we were still better, they were kind of in the price. So, you just never know what you're going to get. But I mean, at the end of the day, most of those will stick with you. But again, that's where that realtor referring, it's still probably your best contact, most likely to
100%.
move. Yeah.
Excellent. Andy, thank you again so
Thank you,
much for
Chris.
being so
Yeah.
generous with your time. If there's loan officers that are listening to this that are looking for more information on you or to connect with you, how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, pricemortgage.com, or you can call me on my cell, 602-405-3605. Be happy to talk. Well, I appreciate your time. Glad we got to do this, and appreciate the tip on the call appointment setter people. That's great.
That's awesome. Well, we will follow up, and again, thank you for being on the show, and for everybody listening. All the information is in the show notes for you, and we are looking forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Appreciate it. Thank you.